Hey, welcome to Who Needs a Therapist When You Have a Friend podcast. This is my first podcast ever. I do not have the best lighting in my house, so I'm outside mostly. I will try to be mostly outside with this podcast. This podcast is mostly me. First, I want to really get to know you guys because, I need a friend. I don't need a therapist because you know what? I had a therapist one time, or maybe more than one time. And you know what? I don't think they actually care about me at all because, like, I could sit there and talk to them for 1 hour. And then, of course, they have to go and talk to more people, which is perfectly fine. It's just like, if you actually need them, they're normally not there because they're either like off work or you know, it's their job. So like they have other people to talk to all the time. I want to be a friend to you guys that's like, oh, hey, how are you doing? Let's talk about your problems today and let's like work through them. Like when you're in high school and you're like, hey, I can be on the phone for like an hour and, we can just talk about life because I really miss those types of things. Super sorry. I'm trying to do noise reduction. This is like the first time that I have ever actually used this thing, and my dog barks when people or things come around. So I'm really sorry about that, you guys. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So yeah, I want to be like your friend, like when we were in high school and we just, could talk on the phone for hours. Like what I used to do when I was in high school, I would like, well, at home, I didn't really have anyone to talk to because my mom was like making it to where I couldn't talk to my grandma at the time, and she was like my best friend. But I also had other friends at school at the time that she wasn't allowing me to talk to my grandma on the phone. So I used to literally probably talk on that phone to someone for like 2 hours, an hour a day. I probably honestly drove the girl on the other end crazy. That was my friend because I was like on the phone with them all the time, like calling them. They actually had a real life. I did not have a real life, so my life was on the phone, obviously. And so my mom would get so upset that I would be on the phone that one time she started recording like all of my phone calls, like all of our phone calls that came through. She recorded them. And so I didn't know that these phone calls were recorded until like I got older. And so that was quite upsetting. But other than that, I would sit in the closet, which I wish I had a closet now to sit in, but we're outside. And it's really nice and calming outside. I feel like when, you're just outside in the nature. And I have 3 dogs. So I have a husky. His name is Hawk. I love that dog. I feel like he's actually kind of a protector, but only in his area. So if you like get out of his area, he's not really like gonna do anything. But he also likes to hunt like squirrels and things like that. And then I have a biscuit. He's a husky beagle mix. Um, and what does he do? He just like is lazy more or less, but sometimes he will like play and do things like that. But yeah, he likes to cuddle a lot and sleep a lot. And then I have another dog, which he's new. His name's Diesel, which is the one you guys heard barking. Hopefully I could figure out how to edit that. I don't know. But yeah, so this audio is funky, I think. I'm never hearing myself. So anyway, my other dog is a line shepherd with a cane corso because I needed a more of a protection dog. Uh, and so yeah, that's what he is. So it's also really weird for me to hear myself talking because I don't normally like the sound of my own voice. So this is a lot different for me, something that I don't do. I also normally am not a person that enjoys sharing my life. But I've decided that I feel like the Lord has really led me to talk. So here we are, because you guys, I don't have very much interaction throughout the day with other people. So it's just mostly me at home with my dogs talking all the time to my dogs. Um, so yeah. So now I want to talk to you. I want to make you guys my best friend. So um, I'm going to try to just like open up to you. And I'm hoping that by someone on here watching this, you guys will open up to me and we can like have chats, like, or you can like email me or whatever you want to do. And we can, like, I can talk to you guys about life because uh, yeah. So I also love to go biking and walking and stuff. So I go like, I'm trying my best right now to do 5 miles a day, which is like a walk to the lake, which I would be doing that right now, but like I can't. What happened was I bought this like package to try to do this podcast, and um, I thought, wow, it's a mobile one. You know, I can use it on my phone. No, no, I can't because you know what? It comes with like all this stuff you have to like plug in. So you have to plug in some kind of auxiliary cord, which I've never even had one before. So now I do. And then I have some kind of other thing that like goes into the like into the phone, but oh wait, I can't plug it in because of the type of like uh you know, like box that I have on my phone. So then I'm not going to take that off my phone because if I break my phone, then I'm not going to have a phone. So, so then I was like, fine, can't do that. So then I tried to use an old iPhone that I had, but then I realized that that doesn't have an auxiliary cord either. So that was upsetting. So then I was like, fine, I'll use my computer, which I have this computer to play like games. Oh, and I also have bees outside. I don't know. I think that that might be a yellow jacket, not a honeybee, but it's on my computer right now, and so maybe you guys could see it in a minute. I don't know. It might fly in the frame. I would really love to get some honeybees, like a honey, like like thing, a honey. You know what I mean, right? I'd like to have honeycomb and have like a honeybee thing. I don't know what it's called right at this moment. If I knew, I'd let you know. So anyway, this thing has it to where I can change my voice, which maybe I should if I can hear my own voice, because I don't really enjoy doing that. But also, I would really like to talk about something that has happened in my life, so then you guys can feel more open with me. Um, Besides the fact that I am not a person that likes to talk about themselves, even though you're going to hear this for probably, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour to get to know me if you're actually listening, which I would appreciate. I appreciate you. um, it might sound like I'm babbling. I don't know. But anyway, so when I was younger, I had broken my leg in a car accident, and I had physical therapy. And so during physical therapy, I fell in love with physical therapy, mostly because they were helping me walk again, and I had gained probably like a lot of weight. Like I didn't know that I was a fat kid until like I got older and I realized that people just kept saying, "Oh, you used to eat so much," and blah blah blah, and I was like, "What?" And then so that's a whole nother story for a different time. But what I'm trying to talk about right now is how I was loving physical therapy and I fell in love with physical therapy. But then when I went to high school, I saw that they had um, they had occupational therapy, which I was amazed at it, right? Like I was like, yeah. So like I was like, wow, you guys only have to do 4 years of schooling, and I hated school because I like just didn't like it, but I knew that I had to go to school and I wanted to do occupational. I wanted to do physical therapy. But, you know, physical therapy, you had to do a doctorate at that time. And I was like, oh no, I'm not doing a doctorate. Which little did I know that it's probably honestly better to do a doctorate once you are already to a master's degree. So I should have honestly just went to do physical therapy because that was my actual love, not um, occupational therapy. So I chose to do occupational therapy because it was going to be easier. What I thought it was going to be easier. Um, so I was like, all right, and you get to help people in the same way. It's just a little bit different. I thought it was more upper body than lower body, and that's just how I kind of calculated OT as. You just do upper body instead of lower body. Not a big deal. I can do this. So I got into a program at the University of Eastern Kentucky University. I went there, um, and I had to go to a 2-year program, which was called occupational science. And so then that was to lead you up into occupational therapy, because they had changed it to be a 6-year instead of 4-year degree, which was quite upsetting, once I got there to realize that they had just changed that. But I was like, all right, I can do this. So I did it. And see, when I went to the school, I had a disability, but I just didn't know that it was a disability. I knew that I needed a lot of help in writing and reading, because I'm like, I would have so much trouble writing, and I couldn't form correct sentences all the way, and I would have trouble um, just having the grammar correct in the way that we needed it to go. So this is a really big thing I'm about to talk about. It's really traumatic to me and what happened in my life, and I feel like the Lord has told me that I need to talk about it. So we're just going to start talking about it. But again, I really hope that I can have you guys come and talk to me too, because I would love to have a conversation uh, with you guys about your guys' life. So anyway, so I was at EKU. That's what I'll refer to it as. Um, and I needed help. Like, I needed help really bad. I got into this program, but before that, I would like have tutoring at this like community college. And so while I was at community college, uh, it was like, you just went to the library and they were all there to help you, and you could like sit with them all day and just get help. Well, when you go to a larger university, you don't really get that kind of help. Like, they have like things for people who don't have like any issues with writing. They just need extra help. Like, I don't know if that's like what you would call it, but like I was trying to like book up like 10 different like meetings to go with and get help from these people, and then I would have to like explain to each person like everything that was wrong and that what I was doing. And it was like getting to the point to where it was super hard, and they would just look at me like, what's wrong with you? Like, and I was like, just trying so hard, and I was getting F's on my papers at the beginning of this like schooling, and I was like, okay, this isn't gonna work. And the lady that was over this like program in the library at EKU was like, we can't be doing this. And plus, the only person that was actually helping me, she would like never show up to her job. And so it was really difficult, because I would try to like get her to help and she would never show up. So then I started to hear about this other program called the Gurus. So I went to these gurus to try to get help, like I had been helped before. And then they said that I was trying to plagiarize my work. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I have worked, my paper was done. I needed them to help me. Like, and it wasn't like a normal help. Like, we had to go through each sentence and we had to change words, and we would have to like put periods in places, because I just wasn't a writer. And that was my struggle. I couldn't write. And so we would like, they helped me like one time, and then this woman that I knew that had worked there had come to eat with me for breakfast one day, and she said that these people were talking to her about me, which I should have known was probably a red flag anyway. But anyway, so they said that they were sending my paper in for plagiarism. And this was like when I first started this like program. And just right now is the only time I'm actually remembering that this happened. And so they turned it in for plagiarism, and I was like, I did not plagiarize that. I didn't ask her to do my work. I said, I need your help. And they were like, oh. And I was like, yeah. And so I was like, also, I'm finding out that I have a disability and I have to go to this other place, which was called the Center for Disabilities. And I was like, I'm now going to that and I'm going to get tested to see if I can get help from them because I've been told that I can do that. And so I had to, so they didn't turn that in, thank the Lord, but I guess that it was going to be a problem anyway throughout this story you're going to hear. So then so then after that, I went to the disability office and I told them they had me go into something called vocational rehab. If you have a disability that you need targeted and like helped with, or like you need accommodations, or you for even your job or anything like that, vocational rehab in your area is going to help you. Okay, vocational rehab is like very helpful. They can help you get a job, they can help you do accommodations, they can give you testing, they can tell you what kind of disability you have. It is an extraordinary thing. My mother used to look as when I was younger, because I always had this problem, I just would work extra hard to make up for what I couldn't do. But she always needed to look for a service. And so finally, when I got to college, I found out about vocational rehab. And vocational rehab does wonders for your life if you need help. So I took a vocational rehab like test. They tested me, and we found out that it's like a weird, it's like a reading and writing expression disorder, and it's really weird disorder. Like it's something about how your brain goes so fast, faster than you can type or write, and then you miss words and you miss like things like that, so it makes it very difficult to write. So I could not write very well. Like I can write, but then we have to go back through it and it takes hours to go through a paper. Like, you know how you could sit down and write a paper in an hour and probably be able to turn that paper in? I cannot do that. I can work on it for an hour and it's done, or 2 hours, it's done, but it's not actually done because then I have to go to tutoring and get that fixed, and it would take on one paper maybe 2 or 3 sessions of 2 hours per session. So we're looking at 6 hours or more, depending on how long we had to work together. And so that was really hard for me to have to go to tutoring. And so vocational rehab paid for my tutors. They helped me find tutors. At least for the undergrad, they did. But yeah, I also sued EKU over what they did to me. And I haven't been able to really talk about it because of personally having to heal from the problem. And I tried to talk about it in therapy, and they didn't want to talk about it. They said, you have more to live. You don't have to dwell on this. But it wasn't the fact that I was dwelling on it. It was the fact that it ruined my entire everything. Like when you talk about your life falling apart, it fell apart. Everything did. But we're not there yet. So I'm just gonna go look for my chronological order so I can kind of read it to you guys, because it will be the exact stuff that actually happened, starting from undergrad, when I was just giving you guys the backstory of that. And then we're just gonna move on, and I might talk about it a little bit, but I really haven't talked about it in a long time. But we're going to talk about it. And I hope that you guys stay and become my friend through this, because I really want to hear about your guys' experiences and your stories, and I just want to talk to you as well. So let me go get that. All right, so I got it. So it says, this is what I sent to my lawyer. And oh, there was my bee friend. You guys, I should have showed you. Darn it. If he comes back, I'll try to show you. Okay. So I said, sorry this took so long. I finally have it done. We'll be sending you the appeal tonight. I will be sending it soon. Hopefully tomorrow I can drop off the paper copies and other things. Uh, so yeah, there's also more to the story. We're starting at the beginning. Like, we're just moving on. So this is going to be from August to December of 2020 or of 2014. Yeah, we're going back. That's what I started EKU when I told you like all the stuff. So I don't know if I should tell the teachers' names. I might try. I don't know. I mean, I don't really care to gatekeep what their names are, but we can just always see about that, right? You guys can hear the birds outside. Okay, so there were 4 teachers that I had that fall. So I had CU. I'll call her CU. I had CU for 301. I had KSW for 312. I had CP for 432, and I had MM for English. So the first class that I had that I will talk about is 301, and it was under CU. The first week started in, he needed the dates, August 18th and ended on 8/22. The first week at EKU, and the very first assignment for this class was due on 8/21. So during the first week of school, it was due. It was called a seminar assignment. I received an 88 out of 100, which doesn't sound bad. But when Mrs. CU handed me back our papers on 8/26, she wanted to talk to me after class about my writing because she wrote on my paper that I had several grammatical errors throughout the paper. She talked to me about going to vocational rehab to get diagnosed with a disability, which was what I was telling you, but I gave you like more background about it because, So later I learned I have a writing expression disorder, which is also a reading writing expression disorder. At that time, I was struggling a lot with this course load and I didn't have a tutor or anyone to help me. Yep, because previously, like I was telling you guys, at Somerset Community College, there was a tutoring lab. So at the beginning of my journey at EKU in August, the only place I could go to tutoring, oh, that's what it was called. It was called the Newell Studio, the one that was in the library. There's the beat. Okay. But the tutors were inconsistent and weren't able to make appointments for 1 to 2 hours per day. And then I got in trouble for making too many appointments at the studio because there was a rule for 1 person per day. And then they made me a special one to be able to go under special circumstances, but I was only allowed 2 hours a day. So then where I talk about the gurus. The gurus were students that had their own specialties and they were able to help other students with their homework. So the first time I went to the gurus, I met a girl named, we'll call her B, who also was an OT major. That's really important. I forgot about that. That was the girl that turned me in. Oh yeah. OT. Oh man. This just brings me back to this. Okay. And I thought she would help me so good. Like, I really was excited about this girl helping me. I tried to explain to her how I was trying to get accommodations and how I was trying to get into the disability office. I told her my story about how I was just needing my writing edited. She obviously did not understand what I meant and turned me into the guru office for plagiarizing, which is so interesting because why would a person who was supposed to help people with disabilities and things like that turn in a person that was asking for help to the plagiarism office when I told them I was getting a disability accommodation, and then treat someone with a disability so badly. And this is someone who did end up graduating in the OT department. She actually got honors in the OT department for her schooling. And then she's going to go help patients. She's out there right now, you guys, helping patients. And she treated someone so lowly, like she was treating a person with a disability so terribly. And you know, that hurt my heart because this happens a lot. And you're going to see what the OTs actually did and what OTs actually do and how they treat people. And you're going to wonder when you go to an OT, if you ever go to an OT for help, how they could treat people with disabilities like they are trash, because that's what these people did. And I'm not saying all of them do. I mean, there are some good people in the OT department. And don't get me wrong when I say that, because I know that there are. But man, this girl right here that did this, she was graduating with honors, and they were so happy that she was so distinguished. And I forgot about that. Okay. Anyway, that was my side note in regards to that part of it. So then I told them that people who personally know me tried to, sorry, I just got so caught up in that one. Okay, so then some other people who knew me personally asked me about it, and I explained it, and she got the issue stopped, which I had told you guys about her from that breakfast that morning that she took me on. And then later that week, I met with the disability office at EKU about accommodations. I also had housing accommodations because actually I don't like to be touched, and touching, I'm not a toucher, never have been, and I just had a germ problem, and I still kind of do actually. That's another story. So once introduced to the disability office, I learned that they had a tutoring lab and that you could go up to 12 hours a week from 2 to 5, Monday through Thursday during my first semester. I found a good tutor in the disability lab, and my teachers were understanding and cooperating with me. I did not receive an official accommodation letter, though, until January of 2015. And then I had some really good tutors that really helped me, and I named them here, but I'm not going to name them just because, they were so helpful, and I just hope that they're doing so well because, I appreciated them so much. I really did. I appreciated them beyond comprehension. I could never thank them enough. So then we're going to go back. We're still in that same semester. I'm going back to 2014. Okay. Because we're still in the spot of us thinking we're failing. We are just being turned in for plagiarism. We are brand new to a new school. We are not at home. And all I have is to be able to call my mom or to call my grandma on the phone. And I'm sitting here being told that I'm plagiarism. Oh, there it is. Oh, man. And so I'm being told this. I'm 20 years old, and I'm being told that I'm failing, basically, and all this stuff. So, and I was just trying to figure out my disability so I could get help because I knew I could do the work. It wasn't the problem. It was the problem of getting help. So I was starting to get help around September. I started really getting help in about October, and I still didn't have my disability letter, so they couldn't give me accommodations technically until January, but they were like trying to be adaptive because, they're OTs and that's what they say they do. So in November, I had a meeting with CU. She was my advisor, and she advised me during this meeting that I needed to switch career paths because she did not feel like I would do well in the career of an occupational therapist because I have a disability. At this time, she knew I had a disability and that I would be getting accommodations, but I hadn't even received the accommodations yet. So she didn't know exactly what disability I had at this time because we didn't have it on paper officially yet. And she was telling me that I wouldn't be suited for occupational therapy as a student who hadn't got a disability letter yet and didn't have accommodations, so they didn't even know what type of disability I had, but was already telling me that I needed to leave the program that I had worked hard to get into because they only allowed 40 people into this program and over 100, maybe 200 people applied. And I got it, and you're telling me that I'm stupid, basically? Oh, yeah. Yeah, she did. I have it on record. Actually, I don't have that one on recording, but I do have some of the newer ones on recording. And actually, someone stole my recorders because I'm pretty sure that EKU sent someone after me to steal my stuff. And you know what? That's a whole nother story. So we're just going to keep going because you know what? It gets into this. So then on 11/24, she sent me another email encouraging me to look up career options at EKU and get another advisor to show me where to go. And that was on 11/06 to 11/24. And you know what? Maybe she really did have good intentions because coming to think about it, she tried to help me because maybe she knew that the other people in the program were going to treat me like I was trash. And maybe she was actually trying to help me. But you know what? At the time when you're realizing that you actually are trying to go after something that you have been, thinking about your whole life from physical therapy, changing it to occupational therapy and hoping that it would be like the same for basically upper body instead of lower body, something that you had thought about your entire life. Why in the world would you tell someone to change careers because they have a disability and basically saying that they're lesser value? But, maybe she was trying to help, but it didn't help. It actually made me upset because, why are you talking to me this way? But, whatever, I guess. So then we're going to fast forward to the spring semester. So now we're in January to May of 2015. Yeah, we're there. We're back in 2015. Oh, you know what? I just looked up some top things for 2015 just so we could go back in time, guys. Why wouldn't we? The dress, remember the dress on Facebook? Like, I can't remember, was it gold or was it a different color? What color did you guys say it was? The dress. That was such a big thing on the internet back then in February. It says, and then there was an Iran nuclear deal, which I didn't remember that. That wasn't something that was really in my brain. Oh, Paris got attacked. Oh, Trump shocked the political world. Maybe that was the year before election. Yeah, maybe it was. You know what? Can't remember all that. Yeah, let's just look what 2015 was known for. You know what? We're not doing this. Okay. Well, anyway, 2015, tell me what you were doing because we can always try to remember what that was. Anyway, so now we're back in 2015, January to May. And I feel like my second semester was filled with harassment, discrimination because of my disability. And also, you want to know something? My accommodations were not met at all. Interesting, right? People who were supposed to give you accommodation didn't meet them. Huh. Like, what? So, CU was my program advisor. Now, this was going to get interesting. JW was my teacher for OTS 335. This one is SB. She was a neuroanatomy teacher. And you know what? She actually did me bad because I didn't make an A in her class. I made a B. And I asked her, you'll hear about this later on, but I asked her to give me a letter of recommendation to go to master's program. And you know what she said? I didn't make an A in her class, so she wouldn't be a good person to write a letter from. And I was like, because I didn't make an A. Huh. You know what? She died in an accident at Wendy's. She was walking to Wendy's from her job, and she was going back to her job. And a person hit her in the parking lot, and she died. Isn't that tragic? I thought so. I hope she knew the Lord, because that's a bad way to go. Anyway, so that was quite sad. So anyway, then we have another lady, CH. She is definitely going to be a problem. And you know what? I might actually give her a fake name. I don't know. 421 was she the teacher. DM, she was my 302 teacher. And then we have the director of disabilities, TB, and the chair of occupational therapy. It gets involved this time. And she is CS because, yeah. So my accommodations letter went out on January 27th of 2015 for the spring semester. For my OTS 335 class, the teacher was JW. She did not accommodate me on a quiz on 9/15. 15. I think that was actually supposed to be a 1 on 1/15, if that was a typo. She did not read my test out loud or give it to the disability office for me to take this quiz. I failed that quiz because I did not get it read to me or like sent to the disability office. And also I will go back to the other one. They were actually not having a direct disability letter, but they were trying to accommodate me by allowing me to take my test in a quieter area for the other semester. And one teacher did read me my tests. So that did happen. But anyway, so this time I failed a quiz. And then the next incident happened in the class where we were assigned to go and purchase a name tag. Okay, we had to purchase a name tag and show it to the teacher by 2/16. Okay. So I emailed Mrs. Westfall that, oops, I wonder if I could bleep that out. Well, whatever, if I can't. Called me earlier. Okay, so what happened was I emailed her and told her I had purchased my name tag from this local store in town and that they had told me it would not be completely dry and ready to be picked up until after my class time on 2/16. However, during the week of 2/16 to 2/20, a large snow fell. Oh my gosh, that was a huge snow. Do you guys remember that? It was like 6 feet or something like that in Kentucky. If you were in Kentucky, I don't know. That was quite a large. Like we got stuck at the school for like a week, couldn't go to classes. We were just like in the dorm. So anyway, and I could not get to the store in Richmond I could not get it to the store in Richmond for the name tag. So each morning during the snow days that we had, where we were not in school, my phone rang. My personal cell phone would ring, and she would call me, telling me that we could go because of the weather. So she had tried to tell me that she was going to drive me to the sign place to pick it up. So then when she found out that the snow came, she called me at 7 a.m. to tell me that we could not go because of the weather, which was obvious. So then she called me more than one time because what happened was she was like, I'll take you to the sign place if the weather's good. But the weather wasn't good, so we knew it was going to snow. And she called me at 7 a.m. and said, we can't go, obviously. And then she called me again. She called me like 2 or 3 times, like throughout that week that the snow was there, between 16 and the 20th. She called me like 3 times to tell me we couldn't get the name tag. And we knew that because the snow was so high. It was like record-breaking snow. So I felt a little bit, harassed by being called, at one. But I asked other people. I said, had you guys gotten any calls from her because other people also hadn't signed in their name tags or anything? No. No one else got a phone call from her. No one else got anything from this woman during the snow week, even though they didn't turn in their name tag either. So that was a little bit, weird. But we were trying to look past that, We were trying our best to look past that. Right? That's what I was trying. But then, so the next event that happened with her was a week later on 3/02. I received an email from my advisor, CU, telling me that she had received an early alert from W and that I needed to have a meeting to discuss my grade for W's class. This was early in the semester, and I had not received in my accommodations from that teacher. She hadn't sent them to me. She hadn't tried to help. So I scheduled a meeting with CEU for 3/16. On 3/11, Dr. CU sent me an early alert in a document format so that I could read out loud on my read-write goal, which was an accommodation I had to read to me. She reiterated that I should go to a meeting with a different advisor so I could talk to her about a different career choice. A different career choice. Dr. CU had previously told me that she wanted me to quit OS program because of the accommodations that I received, and that she was worried that I needed to go into a different profession because of my disability. So this is the second time I'm being told this by the same person, and now they're trying to tell me that even though during a week that was a snow week that I did not have a name tag, I was failing this class. And I'm like, how is it